Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the report for Jupiter's transit through Sagittarius, which begins on the 8th of November this year and finishes when Jupiter enters Capricorn on the 2nd of December next year. And I'll be outlining some of the key themes that will take place during this transit and giving you an overview of what it all means for us. Before I do that, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that the astrology doesn't control our lives. It merely helps us to understand what is going on around us. It helps us to understand what key lessons are there for us to learn at this time, and the kind of growth that's available at hand that allows us to work with the natural cycles rather than trying to fight against them. But it's up to each and every one of us to actually take responsibility for our own lives, to seek to operate in the flow of the natural energies rather than trying to fight against them. And in this way we achieve maximum growth without the same level of conflict or tension that occurs when we're trying to fight against the flow. Now, before I actually explain Jupiter in Sagittarius, it's important to quickly review the Jupiter in Scorpio a bit so we can see where we're coming from and see the contrast with where our next area of growth, if you like. So Jupiter in Scorpio has been all about delving into the unconscious mind. It's been making the unconscious conscious, and it's about seeing the truth of who we are, seeing our own shadow right in front of us, and it's seeing what stuff have we been carrying around for a long time that we need to be letting go of, where are we still operating out of alignment with our own truth, and where we're still engaging with hidden motivations or doing things with a hidden agenda. Just shining a light on these agendas and transforming them so that we seek to live our lives honestly and in service to truth. And it's about breaking the need for vengeance or harbouring resentful or jealous thoughts about other people, and forgiving ourselves and others. So forgiveness has been a key theme or key tool that's been necessary to use throughout the last year to overcome our attachments to the past, let them go and empower ourselves. Now, with Jupiter moving into Sagittarius, this is a time for dreaming big. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, so for the next 12 months and a bit, Jupiter's given free rein to express himself in his purest form, unaffected by signs that differ in energy to what he symbolises. So during this next 12 months or so, Jupiter in Sagittarius asks us to look at the big picture, move beyond a personal sense of self, put our own personal agendas to one side, or put our own personal issues to one side at the moment, and get a sense of perspective, look at the big picture, look at what we're connected to and what we're part of. And Sagittarius is all about the natural laws. It has three key archetypes attached to it, such that each one represents a stage or a phase of Sagittarian growth. These are the gypsy, the student, and the teacher, and the philosopher, So the gypsy archetype, this is about expanding the mind through physical travel. It's exploring a culture that's completely different to our own and seeing that it operates on a fundamentally different belief system. So the culture that we grew up in operates on one set of underlying assumptions, but there are other sets of assumptions operating in different parts of the world and within different communities. So sometimes we've got to get out of our comfort zone and engage, either physically move to a different location that has a very different culture, or engage with people from that sort of background to challenge our beliefs, to be open to exotic experiences or experiences that challenge our underlying assumptions. With a student, this happens at the mental level, so hence Sagittarius is, the gypsy links ties in with Sagittarius association with long distance travel. The student ties in with Sagittarius focus on higher education. So this is expanding perception at the level of the mind. It's exploring new concepts, exploring higher levels of understanding of any given topic, and broadening our horizons, broadening our understanding, and learning to bridge the different topics together under a cohesive view. And then we have the philosopher, which ties it all together, so it understands things intuitively. But without the gypsy or the student, the philosopher can't operate at its highest. It becomes like that dry old academic that is reciting the same old thing time and time again, because it's not actually gaining any new experiences. So Sagittarius gives us a strong desire for that sense of freedom, a chance to explore the world, to seek new meaning or seek new avenues of growth. But for that to happen, we have to do another area of Sagittarius, which is cultivating faith. It's cultivating optimism that there'll always be opportunities for growth, that the universe is an inherently beneficent place, and the natural laws merely help us to guide us to show how we can live in alignment with it, so that whatever we need will always be met. That if we want something, we will need to work for that. So Jupiter in Sagittarius is prompting us to expand our minds, to move beyond the narrow thinking that we may have engaged in so far, to move beyond the artificial divisions that we see or that we erect between ourselves and others. It's breaking free of the me versus them or the us versus them, and instead it's the beginning of that transpersonal consciousness, the beginning of understanding how everything is interconnected, and it's learning to have, rather than engage in judgmentalism, fanaticism, narrow-mindedness, and thinking that we have only we know the truth and other people are wrong, it's instead being open to different variations of the truth. Because at the end of the day, the truth cannot be defined by words, it's an essence, and it's that essence that we need to be pursuing rather than pursuing specific concepts as such. Words are merely there to help us convey insights to other people, but truth, and as in absolute truth, cannot be defined by words. It's something that we feel. We know when something is true because it feels right, but we can't explain why, and when we try to explain it, we seem to lose the essence of it. So with Sagittarius, it's time for engaging with the intuition of, if something feels right, trusting it, and it's also being open to experiences which challenge our underlying assumptions and help to break us free of the cultural and conditioning that we were indoctrinated into. Whenever we're born in a country, we'll inevitably adopt the certain customs or cultural assumptions of where we were born. Sagittarius asks us to move beyond that. It's about exploring new experiences, exploring new ideas that are unfamiliar, and exploring new angles on the truth, to try and push our minds to see things as they are, and to understand our place within the universe, within the mind of God, within cosmos. Choose whatever word you choose or see fit. And a key area that can help us with this is nature herself. Nature is obviously the embodiment of the natural laws. It shows us how everything has a cause and effect. It shows us how everything is interconnected, that you take one thing out of the ecosystem and it causes significant damage in other areas that seem unrelated. So spending time in nature and using that calmness that it brings to us, that peace of mind, can open us up to new ways of thinking, that sticking around in urban environments and constantly being on the go and never slowing down for a moment can cause us to become too heavily attached to the culture we've grown up in or the area that we're born in, and we don't expand our minds enough to see things from a different perspective, or to see that a lot of the things that we stress about or we try and base our identity on, they're actually insignificant. Sagittarius is about opening the mind to see things from a wider perspective, to put things into perspective and see what is actually important, what is really the truth, and what is just an assumption that we've been living with for a long time but doesn't actually hold up to scrutiny. So, and it's time for us to, Sagittarius is the beginning of unifying consciousness. It's not, one thing I would say though is, it's not about unity through uniformity or conformity, it's unity through diversity. Every culture has its own uniqueness, its own special qualities, if you like, but there are certain values, certain laws that transcend society, that are common throughout all of them. So it's learning to unite at this level. It's uniting through the higher ideals that are common through all cultures, was honouring and respecting the differences that each culture, because culture arises for a reason in any given areas. It's a reflection of that particular area, if you like. So trying to dominate other cultures or trying to push people to adopt our culture is not healthy. It's actually very dangerous. But if we can embrace the universal truths that do unite us together, that we can all agree upon, and live by these sets of principles whilst honouring each other's traditions, honouring each other's cultures, then we can achieve that unity, that peace, whilst honouring diversity. Because the thing is, if everything is the same, the world picture would be very dull. If everything was one colour, it would just be a uniform canvas. There'd be nothing to make things exciting, nothing to make things more stimulating. So Jupiter in Sagittarius reminds us to embrace novelty, to engage things or develop more tolerance for different belief systems, and it's about honouring the spirit of the other person. So rather than trying to judge people based on certain stereotypes or where they're from, it's learning to treat one another with that spirit, that attitude of spiritual camaraderie, that spiritual unity, or spiritual brotherhood, sisterhood, or spiritual family. We all have certain things in common. Yes, we have major differences as well, and it's important that those are acknowledged and respected, but we also have more things in common with one another than we would like to think sometimes. And if we can unite around these common grounds whilst agreeing to disagree in areas where people see things in a fundamentally different light, it's tolerating those differences, of acknowledging that person sees things in a certain way. If it's enhancing their life journey, if it's bringing them joy and optimism in life, and it's not causing any harm to them or others, then that's fine. They don't have to believe the same things as us. In fact, if there are different belief systems, it enriches life, because we learn to see things from different perspectives that we wouldn't encounter if everyone thought the same. So this is a time for us to remember that spirit of goodwill, remember the spirit of optimism, of hope, of faith, of joy, and of generosity, and to seek to realign with these. We'll have Jupiter turning retrograde from the 10th of April through to the 11th of August, so most of the summer Jupiter is going to be retrograde next year, so it kind of keeps things calm. So this is a time where the soul is integrating the truths, it's getting in touch with the wisdom of different spiritual insights and different spiritual lineages. So I'll go into more depth in a separate video for that, but this is the time where Jupiter's energy gets turned inwards, and we really get a major opportunity to transform our belief systems, transform our worldview, and seek to make sure that our own belief systems is based on our own personal experiences, and that we seek to have an optimistic outlook on life. So when things do seem to go wrong, if you like, or where things seem to take a downturn, or we're encountering disappointment or an ending of such, it's having that faith that there's a higher reason for this happening now, and it may be pushing us to an even better opportunity for growth, or a new avenue of experience and growth in life. Just having that faith that even when things seem to be turning out the wrong way, if we believe or see it as an opportunity to adjust our thinking or adjust our perceptions, because we don't have the full picture yet, we see everything as an opportunity to learn rather than taking it personally as something happening to us, or something trying to make us wrong. If we see it more as an opportunity to see where there's gaps in our understanding, where there's holes in our learning, or where there's limitations in our beliefs, and seize these opportunities to transform them, learn a lesson and integrate it into our belief system through honouring our experiences, then we can grow, we can develop greater wisdom. And it's through having this openness to potentially having incorrect beliefs, if you like, but it's not succumbing to other people ramming their own beliefs or philosophy down our throats. It's about being open-minded enough to see where there may be truth in other belief systems, and see where our own experiences are being denied or ignored in order to keep an old belief system going that's no longer suitable for who we are now. Because the thing is, Sagittarius is a mutable sign. There's a huge clue that our belief systems should be malleable. They should never be fixed. They should always be open to change, so that they're informed by experiences rather than by blind dogma and limited thinking. So it's time to be adaptable. It's time to embrace change. It's time to allow intuition to guide us to some extent, and it's time to live by, or learn to understand the natural laws and to live them out in our lives so that we're aligned with them. Our spirit soars as a result, our energy levels soar, and we have that optimism, that faith and that joy in life that no matter what happens, no matter what setbacks we may encounter, we can overcome them, we can grow, as long as we do not cling rigidly to a belief system of one kind or another, and we do not try to have this attitude of converting other people, so we avoid spiritual arrogance. And as long as we have this open-mindedness, this humility to accept where our own thinking or our own beliefs maybe have incorrect areas or may have flaws in them, and having the courage to change them so that our beliefs empower us rather than limit us. And if we can all do this, and do it with a spirit of open-mindedness, of generosity, of kindness, of tolerance, and living in alignment with natural law, then there is so much more we can achieve, both individually and collectively. And we generate this attitude of optimism and seeking of solutions to problems that benefit everyone. So rather than it being about our own personal gain or fulfilling our own personal appetites at the expense of other people, it's time for developing that understanding that everything is interconnected. So if we do something to manipulate others, we will encounter karma as a result of that. But if we seek to do everything truthfully and with a sincere desire to learn and understand, and to break free of old conditioning or old limiting belief systems, and living out the truth, it's one thing to grasp an understanding of or to understand things at a mental level, but Sagittarius also calls it we embody it. So when we encounter new truth, we work with it, we learn to embody it through making sure that actions reflect this new belief or this new understanding of how the natural flow of things works. And the more we engage with the flow and let it guide us, the more we can empower ourselves to expand our sense of identity to the collective level without the ego becoming inflated in the process. So we remain humble, but we understand our part in the greater whole, and we honour each other's individual journey, both the shared part and the part where we have to go it alone. And we seize this opportunity to dream big, to grow more than we've have tried to grow before. And we have that belief that we have what it takes to grow, to overcome whatever adversity we face so far, and to empower ourselves to live in alignment with truth, to be an embodiment of truth, of love, and of peace and tolerance. And if we can all do this, then we can achieve a much more rapid push towards peace and unity, whilst diversity is maintained and honoured, so that life maintains its rich and diverse, it stays as a rich, diverse tapestry, and doesn't become bogged down in uniformity. You're trying to force people to align with what we think is the truth, rather than seeking alignment around the areas where there's universal truth, and allow other people to honour their own subjective truth based on their own life experiences. So I hope this is a guide for Jupiter's transit through Sagittarius. There's so much growth on offer for us, but it requires that we move beyond any limiting thinking or any limiting beliefs, that we have faith and optimism that we can achieve just about anything, and that we learn to, as Carrie's taught us at the Magnet Centre, expect the best. And if we continue to expect the best and look for the opportunities, or look for the answers coming from us in a novel way rather than expecting it to happen a certain way, and our needs can be met. We can keep growing, moving forward, and we can elevate our consciousness beyond the personal and out to the collective, also making sure that we stay true to ourselves, so we don't lose ourselves in the collective consciousness. We understand our connection to it, and that if we become our best versions of ourselves, the collective naturally benefits from it. The collective grows through us growing as individuals. So may Jupiter's transit through Sagittarius bring you a whole new chapter in life that's dominated or characterised by optimism, growth, enthusiasm, faith, and joy, not joy for life. Take care, and may it be a wonderful year of growth for you.